remember news that the Z Flip 5 would house a larger exterior screen size than the Find N2 Flip?
Yes. Yeah, we did hear rumors about that.
Yeah, which that one came out to like 3.2 inches.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with recent reports from leading display analyst Ross Young, the 5th generation Z Flip is expected to ship with a 3.4-inch exterior display.
Okay.
And, we've had some rumors alluding to the fact that the Z Flip will have a bigger screen than the Find N2 Flip. But now that Ross has chimed in, it's kind of sounds like that's not anything too much to brag about.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a 6% increase. It's only, 0.2 inches.
Yeah.
But I guess the thing to keep in mind for us enthusiasts is that that's actually a 44% increase over its predecessor. So,
yeah, I would say that's good. I feel like it's almost as if Samsung is just barely making the cusp of we have the biggest exterior screen of any flip. I almost wonder, and this is just speculation, of course, but I almost wonder if they weren't going to change the exterior display, and once I heard about the N-Find 2, they were like, okay, we got to make this a little bit bigger now than it was before.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that. Yeah, and I was kind of curious about that myself. But, I mean, with it only being like 0.2 inches bigger, it makes me wonder if it was just part of what they were already going to do.
It's a coincidence, most likely. Yeah, for sure.
So, and I think in the end factor that most concerns, both you and I, is that as we're analyzing this news is what kind of software interface should we expect from Samsung, and will it be similar to Oppo, what they've thrown together, or will it be something a little bit more full-fledged that we've kind of seen from Moto's Razr?
I think to copy off of Oppo is to,
well, I wouldn't say copy, but I mean, is it going to be something too simplistic?
Even just similarly do it, but it doesn't matter, because if it's going to be like that, I feel like it's just another one of those things where if you want to be on top, you need to get past just 6 widgets. You need to have features where you can actually use like Google, or, maybe if you want to, play some games, although that's kind of another separate kind of thing. But just being able to use your phone on the outside is the same you would be able to use on the inside. And that's something that I think
yeah,
Oppo
with some realistic limitations, but yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm excited about this in a certain. The funny thing is he originally came out with a tweet earlier today that it was going to be 3.8.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's the actual film screen that goes over the exterior. So it's not the actual display size. The actual display is evidently 3.4 inches. So, but yeah. He also noted that the panel shipments should start shipping in May, and that production of the Z Flip as well as the Z Fold 5 take place around June.
Okay.
Now, real quick, before I let you get on, a couple of other things I did want to mention. One is that I will be on vacation next week, so we will not be uploading episode 15 until the 25th of this month. The other thing that I wanted to throw out there was, it wasn't really anything, groundbreaking, but for all you Apple fans, we do have some fully put together images of the iPhone 15 Pro that we'll post on the link down below.
Yes.
So feel free to check that out. They pretty much mirror the CAD renders that we've seen, but these are fully produced images from some other sources that gives a better idea of what to expect come September. So, But with that, Riley mentioned before the show that he had a topic about a bathroom and the Apple Store.
Yes.
So with that, I'll let you give us some insight on this next item.
Yes, this is one of those pieces of news where it's just kind of out there. It's kind of outside our tech sort of thing, but it is still interesting to keep in mind. This past week, we got some news that some thieves actually broke into an Apple store and stole about $500,000 worth of Apple products. On March 26th, after about 7 p.m., thieves entered the Alderwood Mall in Linwood, Washington. They then walked into a store called Seattle Coffee Gear and cut a hole in the bathroom. Keep in mind that there were no employees in the store, obviously, because it was after hours. Not only this, but they never triggered any of the alarms as well, which means this was a very meticulously laid out plan, and many are even going as far as to say that someone had blueprints to the mall because they didn't even break through any pipes. The article states that the
Wow.
thieves stole 436 iPhones and a number of iPads and watches. And to make matters slightly worse, the damage that was caused is costing the store $1,500 in repairs. No one was even aware of the incident until the following morning.
That is, man, I don't know if I should say this live, but I feel like that's impressive.
It is really impressive.
It's kind of stupid because, I mean, stealing Apple products nowadays is pretty much null and void, and there's nothing you can do about it because Apple's going to disable those serial numbers. But the fact that they actually did it that way is pretty cool, in my opinion.
I know I mean, when I first read the article, I immediately thought of National Treasure when they're going in to get the Declaration of Independence. It's honestly ridiculous. And honestly, while it was a very good plan, I don't know why people steal products from a store when they should already be aware of the fact that they can be tracked via the devices themselves. Matter of fact, there's actually another story out in California where a dude stole a young lady's $3,000 bike while she was at work. Thankfully, she had an AirTag hidden in the bike, and the father and her were able to track down the guy that stole it. The interaction was odd. The dad told reporters about the confrontation he had with the thief. Quote, "The dude just stood there with a look on his face like I've never seen anyone with that look. I think the look was shock, like, how did you get my location?" It's crazy how far people go with this kind of stuff. I mean, not just Apple products, but just generally. It's insane.
Was that like a custom bike, or what kind of bike was that?
It was an e-bike. So it wasn't like,
okay.
That's why it's $3,000.
Like
and it's a smaller bike too, but it's
okay. I got
that $25 AirTag saved a $3,000 bike. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that is insane.
On clutch right there.
Wow. So I'm guessing she uses that for work then.
Yep. Yeah, she was actually at work and it was stolen. And I think I read something about the fact that she actually took out the battery or something. Although that may have been another part of the whole story or whatever. But even then the guy stole it. So
that is
it's insane. Man.
The stories that surface around here is pretty interesting.
It is though, yeah. So
man, you got one with bathroom hacking. I mean,
I
guess in retrospect, those thieves are probably thinking that was a crappy idea. No pun intended. But
now they are, yeah.
So back on April 4th, OnePlus had a launch event. If that's what you want to call it, I watched that one, and it was one of those other really weird events from OnePlus. So if you want to watch it, you can. I don't really think it's anything worth repeating, but they had it for the Nord CE3 Lite, a model that was only limited to the UK and European market, which is, I guess, soon to come to Asia as well. The price in those regions runs about $360 to $370. But now we're hearing reports that are sourced from Decoding that we should expect to see a successor to the Nord 20 here in the US. That model has a price tag of about $300 currently, and the successor should be some form of the CE3 Lite, but referred to as the N30 for us Westerners. So we don't really have any news as far as what the price is going to be, if it'll be higher or lower. I don't really think it's extremely impressive. I believe it has a 108 megapixel sensor, and it's got some, fast charging and stuff like that. Typical, low budget range specs for a OnePlus device, which they try to keep it competitive. But yeah, I'm not really sure if you're looking forward to something in the budget range from OnePlus.
No, not really. I'm actually gonna go ahead and order the OnePlus 11 to test it out. But I was just thinking when you said that the 100 megapixels, it's not exactly industry standard anymore. And that's kind of crazy to think, because like 5-6 years ago, if you heard 108 megapixels on the back of a phone, you'd be pretty amazed. But now that's just like, that's history, man. Like 200 is now like the biggest standard.
Yeah, I think when it's the other thing that you have to keep in mind is, at least for us enthusiasts, when you hear the a size of 108 megapixels on a $300 phone, it doesn't really impress you. It's the idea that, okay, I know that this is going to be like, a high megapixel sensor, but what's the quality going to be like? I mean, we know there's certain specifications and
Yeah.
stuff, but you and I both know that, sensors need to have a lot more than just the megapixels to
It needs
actually
to have a
produce
bigger
really
sensor
great results.
itself. So,
Yeah, bigger
Yeah.
sensor, and there's other, specifications that go into that, so as far as the microns and the aperture, etc. So, but on a quick note regarding OnePlus, we do have a time frame for when we will see the price for their OnePlus Pad to be revealed,
okay.
which will be April 25th. On the 8th of May, and one thing to add is that currently with a $100 deposit on the Pad, you'll be eligible to receive their magnet keyboard, which is valued at $150, or a white stylus, or I guess they call it a stylo, with your purchase once the final payment has been made by April 28th. So we're getting news. I think you're more excited about this one than I am, but
Well, at the time, I was more impressed by that than the phone. However, as we're seeing now, I think the OnePlus 11 kind of sticks out on top as far as that. But I was
Yeah, it's
actually
starting to
pretty
gain a little more.
impressed.
Yeah.
I actually was impressed by the tab just based on the specs and everything about it. Now I'm not super excited, but I'm still like, okay, this is gonna be cool to be
Intrigued.
released. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. So, Katie Cotton, who is known for being Apple's PR when Steve Jobs was with us, passed away April 6th of this year. After having retired for 9 years and after having worked for 20 years for the company, her passing has caused much distraught in the community as she was a key partner with Jobs. I unfortunately never knew about her up until now, but I'm sure that family and friends and many others are going through a lot of grief at this time. And I think the article went on to say that Jobs, and most people would know her by this, actually trusted her with a lot of her decisions, which just shows how much she was actually respected.
wow.
So,
Yeah, that's unfortunate. How old was she?
yeah, I think she died at 56 or 57. I don't think it's clear as to what her birth date is because I looked everywhere and I don't think there's actually a date, but yeah,
They probably don't give anything about what caused her death or what she was going through.
yeah. I think there were a couple sites saying that she had died from a long illness that she had, although I don't think it's out as
details.
what
Okay.
the illness is. So
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah. I mean, if you work that closely with the CEO, then, definitely highly respected. And
I know.
It doesn't really matter. I mean, regardless of who it is, it's unfortunate to hear of a passing. So,
Yeah, it's true.
yeah, something real quick I wanted to direct some attention to was some news concerning Nokia. Now, don't worry, this has nothing to do with the Lunar Network from last week, but
Okay.
the rumor is for the smartphone called the Magic Max. I have never even heard of it, and it just came up.
Never heard of it either.
It's a bit interesting as it takes on the likeness of pretty much any given iPhone Pro. I suppose you could say anywhere between the 12 and the 14 Pros, but
Okay.
and it's kind of mixed between some conceptual designs that we've seen from other iPhone leaks that never really made it to the final product. It's like I mean, aside from I guess it's like a light sensor at the bottom of the right camera.
Okay, I was wondering what that
like
was.
Pace
It's
for pace,
pretty
the,
much.
like, iPhone
Other than
Pro.
the indention. Oh, nope, never mind. Yep. It's because of that screen right there.
It's got a lot right there. So I was just like, that is so crazy. Like, how did they get away with that? But I mean, it's only expected to come to India, but I had to bring
Good.
it up. You don't want it.
Don't want it. I'm sorry. That's just the green is killing me right now. Like that is straight up. Like
It reminds me of like gum or something.
I just
Either that or like
it's literally
veggie
the
green.
Hulk green. Like it's horrible.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if you guys are interested, at least you guys can check it out in the description. I mean, it's nothing super amazing. Yeah, it's got that little display on the back, but don't you have to worry. Like I said, it's not coming to us. I think it's only supposed to be like $400 when you convert it from rupees.
Don't even think it should be that
yeah.
much.
Take it away, Riley.
For fellow Apple users who have older phones, take this with a grain of salt. But there is a rumor stating that if you have a phone running iOS 11.2.6 or earlier, a watch running watchOS 4.2.3 or earlier, a Mac running macOS 10.13.3 or earlier, or an Apple TV running tvOS 11.2.6 or earlier, You may have to consider upgrading to a new device. According to a user, Stella Fudge, coming this May, allow Apple will no longer allow users to utilize FaceTime, iMessage, and Maps, and many others. This is a rumor again, so we don't know for sure if this will come to fruition. But if you are the least bit concerned about this, you can find many older models that still support updates past the ones that I mentioned for fairly cheap. Still a bit of annoyance, but I'm sure many would figure that this day would come for Apple. So.
Yeah, I mean they can't keep on supporting them forever. I mean, just, there's a lot of server. I think I read some other articles about that were indicating a lot of it might have to do with the updates from iOS 17 and watchOS 10 that are implementing some bigger, better features and stuff like that, and they just need to drop services for those older devices.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise to me. It's probably an unfortunate thing that came along for those of you guys who are using those older devices. I don't really know. I don't really have offhand which devices go up to that as a max OS. From I think you had 4 different platforms there.
Yep.
But yeah, so it is what it is. But with some happy news, we'll move on to deals. We have the Samsung Z Fold 4 512 gigabyte variant with a $400 discount down from $1,920 to $1,520. So, bit of a decent deal there. I don't think there's any trading involved on that one. I believe that's unlocked as well. So,
we have a deal on Amazon with the Samsung 980 Pro 2 terabytes SSD. This is a massive 61% discount, going from $379 to $144.99, which is outstanding, honestly, especially considering most SSDs that are like 1 or 2 terabytes in general, they're pretty expensive. And this, for Samsung, this is a massive deal. So,
wow, that's crazy, because that's like $235, I think, is what that is. That's insane for 2 terabit. That's a really good deal in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure that's probably because there's a newer model that's been released or something.
Yeah, most likely.
And then we also have a Logitech MX Keys Mini, down $40 from $110 to $70. So I actually own the full size MX Keys, and the Mini it's nice and compact. I like the way they kept the shape and everything. So
yeah, no, I've heard of the MX Keys before, and I think I've actually seen a few of those on some stores, and I've actually grown to like them a lot. So
yeah. Yep.
YouTube has now rolled out some new features for premium users, most of which people such as myself have already been using, since normally premium members get early access to test what they put out. But I'll just go ahead and list them here. So Android phone and tablet users have gained a new video queuing feature. Premium members can utilize the continue watching feature to pick up where they left off. And enhanced bitrate 1080p HD video awaits premium users on iOS. I have used this before. Obviously, it's one of those things where they've allowed early access. And I don't really think I've noticed a major change. Maybe a slight, a little bit better quality, but that's about it. By the way, if you're viewing YouTube on the web, you can still use the queuing feature that I just mentioned, even if you don't have premium.
Okay, so it's only a mobile thing for premium users.
Yes. YouTube has now repeated its Watch YouTube Together feature on Android through Meet Live sharing for premium members. Subscribers can host Google Meet sessions with members of free tier users to watch videos together. Now they are planning to bring this to FaceTime users via SharePlay in the coming weeks.
That's cool.
So that's about the gist of every new thing with YouTube. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think that's like anything that maybe would affect me, but I mean, they're trying to implement some nicer features and stuff like that. So
I think the one thing that I'm most excited is that being able to watch YouTube videos together on SharePlay.
SharePlay.
Yeah, just because they had a plugin on Chrome where you could actually utilize that, and I think they even had a plugin for Netflix as well. But now you can actually you'll be able to just do it via iOS, which is great. So
yeah. Well, a few episodes back, we discussed the idea that Apple might launch a HomePod with a screen on the front of the unit. Something that we expect to come sometime in the fall next year, possibly. However, articles are now resurfacing news around the patents that Apple submitted back in 2021. These patents are in regards to Apple's idea of creating an AirPods case that pretty much envelops the likes of a sixth, maybe seventh generation iPod Nano, giving users the ability to have access to media and AirPod settings. As well, we've actually heard rumors that they might even have like gestures where if you like squeeze the case, it'll actually control like the noise cancellation, which
wow, that's pretty cool.
Kind of interesting if that comes through. Yeah. But I mean, as has kind of been the underlying statement in all of Apple's patents, many of them never even hit the market. They're just kind of simply submitted with the hope that, well, if Apple does decide to do something, they can retain the royalties over a decent time period. So,
yeah, that is true. I did hear about that actually, and I honestly prefer that over the HomePod, generally speaking, because while a screen on a HomePod would be particularly nice, I think we even discussed there was one. Who was the company that actually did a screen on their speaker? Was it Huawei or?
I don't know. I don't remember that part.
Maybe I misheard something, but regardless,
might have been. I don't know.
Yeah, regardless, I really prefer that on the AirPod case just because it is kind of reminiscent of that Nano. I think I actually used a Nano for a little while back in the day, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was small, compact. Controls were really nice. And even adding those gestures, like you said, just really adds to the experience of that because number one, you don't have to pull out your phone all the time to change a song, although you can do that with your AirPods, generally speaking, but
the gestures.
But to have that there is just, it's pretty dandy, and I think as well they could definitely make it to where you would have battery efficiency with that. It'll be a difficult thing to do, but
you mean like accessing like a low power mode or something?
Yeah, on the AirPods or something like that.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how that would like that put that into effect. Like maybe turn the screen off sooner or something like that, or the brightness.
I think maybe
in the end, you'd still want the audio quality to be really good.
I like how, because as we've been talking about before, I've been using a OnePlus, and one thing I noticed is sometimes when I cover my hand over the top, the screen turns off, and it's like, hey, it's in your pocket. It senses.
Pocket mode.
So what if, Apple did that with AirPods, like it senses in your pocket and the screen turns off or something like that, I think there's workarounds you could do to make sure that battery efficiency is a key component, because once you add a screen onto that, it's going to drain more battery than normal. So
yeah, that's definitely kind of a concern that I had as well. And like you're saying, I've actually looked forward to this because it's it's a nostalgia. It's kind of a kickback to an old reminiscent model that Apple used to make, but for me it's also just the fact that it's portable. It's not just something that's sitting on your desk and you're only going to interact with it so often. I use my AirPods almost every single day, so to have that something on the case where you can access settings and stuff like that, and maybe even have some limited access to maybe apps or notifications possibly. This is kind of all just spitballing here because we don't know for sure, but I would definitely welcome that way. I was the one who said I wasn't even in favor of having a HomePod with, a screen on the front of the speaker. It just didn't make any sense to me. But, I mean, I can see some people saying, oh, I would like to have that, but I don't know. I feel like they're already expensive enough. I don't need to have more.
You don't really need to have a screen. And I feel like I kind of changed my views on that.
I feel like your iPhone is the screen. So
I know. And it's like, when are you really going to use a screen on a HomePod? You don't normally touch it. You only touch it for the controls on the top normally. And you can ask Siri to do certain things anyway. So I feel like technically, while a screen, is innovative for sure, I'm not denying that. I just think it's kind of useless at certain points. Just because it's already in there. So,
like you were saying, you could ask Siri to pause the music. You can pull out your phone. There's just you could
be more lazy in your life.
Right. Well, and then there's just the idea that like if it drops, you only have to worry about the speaker being harmed. Now you'd have to worry about the screen being destroyed.
Yeah,
as well,
and I think that's
something
that could pertain to the AirPods as well. maybe you'll have to get a screen protector on that one. But at least it's not as impactful.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's a smaller screen.
Yeah, it's not the mass isn't as huge, so the gravity's not going to break it when it hits the ground. So
right, there's less weight. Correct.
Yeah, but no, that's I'm really excited about that if that comes to fruition. So
now it is worth noting that even though this idea is pretty cool, and there's still a chance we could see something like this from Apple, it's not necessarily something that hasn't been done elsewhere. JBL actually had their own set of earbuds linked with a case that provides touch controls on the housing, even though they're a bit limited compared to what we're kind of talking about here and what we would think to expect from Apple.
Okay.
Matter of fact, these ones from JBL aren't even out yet. I think on the website they're still coming soon, which we'll throw a link down in the description for you guys to check that out in case you're curious. But these patents imply that you could do a decent amount of commands and access settings for a better overall user experience. Now, whether or not the controls simply act as a repeater interface relaying back to the iPhone of what's being currently played is unknown, kind of what we were talking about. Personally, I think it would be possible to even store maybe some songs on the AirPod case. It's kind of up in the air.
That's possible.
I don't see them I wouldn't think they would charge a lot, just add a little bit of storage. I'm not talking you to add 32 gigs onto an AirPods case.
No, because it's music. It's very small in storage anyway.
But I mean, it's the idea that maybe if you just want to go for a jog or a run, Apple would already put out some of your favorites.
Yeah, I like that actually.
I guess the only thought pattern in that is most people are kind of reluctant to leave their phone home anyway. So it's just kind of one of those. I'm sure it's probably something they've been thinking about if they've been toying around with the idea of doing this.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
But nothing else is really noted, and no estimated dates are even in the rumor mill, at least as of this recording. But I am personally interested to see if this will actually go through. Yeah. And more importantly, what could be the potential expectation of a price point if these do arise, as the current AirPods Pro 2 sell for a non-discounted price of $250. So, in my opinion, I would kind of hope that they would actually throw this on the main base models, like the regular AirPods versus the Pros to start off with, at least. Yeah,
I totally agree, and I would also agree that to the extent of, if they did that, I feel like that would actually bring more people into... I mean, I guess it depends on which one you get more revenue from. And I think...
Originally?
Most likely, I think that's probably the Pros. Although I could be off base.
It's hard to say. I mean, when you look on Best Buy or your Amazon or something like that, you get a lot of reviews and stuff for the actual base AirPods. Yeah. So... Okay. It wouldn't surprise me that they sell more, but yeah, like you're saying, the revenue, it all depends on the money.
Yeah. So if you, but even at that, I think, the base ones to kind of test it out, see how the consumers feel about it, how users are interacting with it. I think that the base model is probably where that needs to go to first start out.
Yeah. And I would probably imagine this, if they do that, then that would probably put them on the 4, because I know they said they weren't going to retrofit the 3s with the USB-C. And my guess is that this touchscreen housing is probably going to come with a USB-C, which means they'll probably wait for the 4 or the AirPods Pro 3s.
Which makes sense, actually, if you think about it, because if they are going to add a screen, like I said, with battery efficiency, they're probably going to make it a bigger battery, which means you'll need to charge it faster, which means USB-C needs to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's some truth to that. So... it's definitely something I'm really excited about.
Me too.
Before we actually close out this episode, we did have a couple bonus items that came through while we were recording this. The first is iOS 16.5 Beta 2 released today.
Yep.
And have you seen any updates on that, or you just noticed it was released?
Aaron tweeted it. I didn't really look into it a whole lot.
Okay, well, I don't know if you caught any of the additional tweets or anything like that, but I think you'll love this because now people are reporting that you can update without the requirement of needing 50% battery life or more.
Praise God.
If you're not watching Riley because we're on FaceTime, he is pretty much at a major relief right now.
I am in utopia right now after how many years of us not being able to update before 50%. Finally.
Yeah. So I guess they're saying that it's all the way down to 20%. 20%
okay.
is the
I'd say that's
line.
That's good.
Yeah, and I mean the thing that I was kind of thinking of, and I'll reiterate this again because this was quite a few episodes ago. The concern that I have is just I feel like they still need to have like an AI going in and seeing, okay, what's the battery health? Because I
Yeah,
still
you
feel like
mentioned
there is a
that
concern
a
about
while back.
20%. So they need to kind of, I feel like they need to actually, smart program or assess how that works with the battery because every phone is going to be different.
Especially if you got like an older device like a 10 or 11
Right.
that the battery has been used so much that the actual capacity has lowered down to like in the 80s. Like, yeah, I think
Yeah,
an
especially
AI would
also
be
the
nice.
8s, because the iPhone 8s have had like horrible battery because they heat up and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Yep.
but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to hear about this because I was like, oh yes, that's great because I hate having to like plug in my phone, wait for it to get there, and then finally run the update. So,
I know. That's
but
great.
yep. The other bonus item that we had here for today was the NFL Sunday Ticket pricing has finally been unveiled.
Oh,
So,
good.
yeah, I don't know if you're like really excited about that, but for
I am.
YouTube TV members, oh, you are, okay. The with the base plan, the add-on is available during a pre-sale before June 6th, which costs $250 for the NFL Sunday Ticket for one season.
Okay.
And then if you're a non-member, so if you're not subscribed to YouTube TV, that goes up to $350 before June 6th. After that, it goes all the way up to $450,
Okay.
regardless of whether you're a member or not. So I'm not sure what you think about that pricing. We actually talk about this quite a bit with our dad, and he had seen some rumors that there was going to be around like $300. I was a little skeptical about that because you got Google and you got the NFL. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot more expensive than 300, but
That's
it was.
true.
I mean, it was 350, but then it went up to 450. So I don't know if you feel like that's justifying what's being offered, or
Probably. I think how much was it DirecTV? They had it before, right?
yeah,
How
I
much
don't
did
remember
they
the pricing
charge?
for that because I never really. Last time I subscribed to a Sunday Ticket was before I got married, so that was
Okay.
like 7 years ago.
Yeah,
That's the
so
last
it's
time I
probably
ever.
increased quite a bit then. So
It probably has increased
I
some.
I think that's worth it, especially if you're able to like, multiple people can access it at the same time, um, on the same account. I assume you can do that, right?
On the same account, yeah. So with the way is as long as it works, because this is if you're gonna just do it for a Prime channel on YouTube, it should reflect YouTube TV settings, so you can have up to 3 devices outside of your home network active
Okay.
at the same time.
Yeah.
There is a 4K add-on. If you subscribe to that, that'll allow you to have, which I think you need to have the base plan for that one though. That'll allow you to have up to, I think like 5 devices at once inside your home, 5 or 6, and then that's on top of the 6 or the 3 outside of your home.
Yeah, well, if I'm understanding you correctly, you said that if you already had YouTube TV, it would cost less, like what, 230?
Yeah, if you are already for existing subscribers, it'll cost you 250.
Is that so if you subscribe now, it won't count?
That I'm not sure. I didn't really test that out. I'm assuming there probably is something to that stipulation where probably they check to make sure you're subscribed like by February or March or something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
So, obviously, you listeners can play around and toy around with that and see if that actually works. Just know that you're probably going to spend like $73 to test it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they also have the bundle for the Red Zone, which is $289 for members, and that goes up to $389 or $390 after June 6th, and then that's $390 for non-members, which goes up to $490 after June 6th. So we didn't really talk about that. I already messaged Dad about this. We didn't really talk about Red Zone. I don't know if you're a really big fan of Red Zone because you get to have all the highlight plays on live.
I'm not a huge fan of Red Zone. I like to just focus on one or just switch to another. Multiple plays, it's just maybe you can do it, but it's just crazy for me. But yeah, that's still pretty cool though.
Yeah, I mean, you get the tile thing going on with there's multiple screens, but I think they also have just the regular where they're monitoring every single game and they take you to different games of highlight plays that are about to happen during the Red Zone, which is, well, why it's called Red Zone.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so for all of you guys ready for the 2023 season, we're definitely excited to get going on that in the fall. But yeah, that'll close it out for this week's episode. Just another reminder, we don't have one coming up next week, but we will be back the following week for more news and rumors. This is JD and Riley signing off.
Peace out.